Welcome to today's episode of One Youth. We have a great show lined up for you today, so please sit back, relax, and please enjoy. But before I go, we have to enter into a time of prayer. So, please bow your heads with me. Dear Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you that One Youth can still happen, even if it is digitally, and it can bring us a couple minutes or maybe an hour of joy in our day before we have to go back into the hustle and bustle of everyday life. I pray for anyone who's watching right now that the rest of their day or their next day, depending on when they're watching this, is safe and, enjoy the show. Amen.
So today I decided to take a quick seat here with my friend Jamie. And Jamie, this is a new segment that we're going to have on our show called Call Challenge.
Okay, like Call Challenge.
Phone call challenge. So
ready.
Here's what I want you to do.
Okay.
I need you, first of all, do you have your wallet with you?
I have a wallet. Yeah.
Okay, good. You're going to need it in just a little bit.
Okay.
I need you to open up your phone and go to Google Maps.
Google Maps. Okay, Maps is loading right now.
And I want you to pull up the phone number for Lucadia Pizza.
Okay, here we go. Lucadia Pizza. All right, here we go. Got it. Lucadia Pizza, South Coast Highway 101.
Yep, that's the one we want. Okay, now just have it ready. Find where the phone number is. In a minute, I'm going to have you call them. And here's what I need you to do.
Okay.
I need you. You're going to order a pizza, and
all right.
And you're going to order some breadsticks.
I'm going to order a pizza and breadsticks.
Yeah, you're going to order a pizza and you're going to order some breadsticks.
Okay.
The order that I need you to get is a large vegetarian pizza.
Okay, large vegetarian pizza
with breadsticks. However, your challenge is you need to call them and place that order for delivery here, but you can't say the word pizza, vegetarian, or bread.
I can't say the word pizza.
Correct.
Vegetarian.
Correct.
Or bread.
Correct.
And I need it delivered here.
Yes.
Okay. I'll do my best.
So go ahead, give him a ring and hit speaker so we can get the audio.
Okay. Here we go. Will that work?
We'll be with you in just a moment.
Pizza, vegetarian, or bread.
Thank you for calling Lucadia Pizza and Encinitas. This is going to be for pickup or delivery today.
This is going to be for delivery.
Alrighty, let me go and get signed in here real quick. And is this going to be the best number to get a hold of you with if need be?
Yes, this is the right number.
Perfect. This is for Katie at 120 Stevens Avenue.
It's for Jamie at 120 Stevens Avenue. Jamie.
Gotcha, Jamie. Not a problem. And what kind of food are we looking to get today?
I would like a large pie with just vegetables.
Do you want our large vegetarian pie with olives, mixed bell pepper, mushroom, onion, and zucchini?
That sounds perfect.
Alrighty. Anything else I can get for you today?
Yeah, what kind of sticks do you guys have there? Like with marinara?
Let's see. I could do some of our fried mozzarella. That's pretty good.
No, do you have ones with no cheese?
Let's see. I can do just like an order of our garlic bread. Is that something that you look
Yeah, that sounds great. Perfect.
Yeah?
Perfect. Yeah.
We got 4 to 6 pieces in each order. Did you just want one?
Yeah, that's great. That'll work great.
Okay, perfect. Anything else I can get for you today?
I think that's it.
Alrighty, perfect. I'll go and place the order right now, and I can have this out to you in about 45 minutes to an hour.
Sounds perfect.
Alrighty, we'll see you soon. You have a good one.
Thank you. Dang it. Garlic bread? I don't know how to say breadsticks.
That was hilarious.
It was hard, man. That's really hard.
That was
Do you
so
have any
funny.
sticks?
Sticks?
He said he went with mozzarella instead of breadsticks.
I lost it when you said, do you have any without cheese?
I didn't know what to say.
Well, thanks, Jamie, for playing this segment called crazy call, whatever I called it. So thanks for hanging in there.
I like how this game I played cost me $32.
Just one of the perks.
I guess so.
See you next time.
Right,
bye. Hello and welcome to another episode that we call Hot Nugs, a show where we eat hot nuggets with some people of One Youth and get some hot nuggets of information from them. What is a hot nugget? Well, that's a super good question. A hot nugget is a chicken nugget that we dump a whole heap of hot sauce on. And in the midst of our mouths being completely on fire, I ask our guests some questions so we get to know a little bit more about them. Today, we are sitting down with one of the most interesting people that I know. He volunteers here at One Youth with high schoolers. He can bake. He works with at-risk youth. He knows a lot about music, and he always dresses in a suit and sometimes a leather jacket, like today. The one and only Chris Stewart. Chris, welcome to the show. Hello. I am so excited you are here. How are you with hot sauce?
Man, I'm glad you asked that question, Patrick. First of all, thanks for having me on the show. Super stoked to be here. I love hot sauce.
Okay.
I'll just let you know, I'm a hot sauce aficionado.
Okay.
I've traveled the 7 seas. I've tried many different hot sauces.
All right.
I'm counting on you to bring your A game today.
Well, I brought out something that is just going to blow your mind. We're going to do something called the pyramid of hot sauces. It comes in a box that looks like a pyramid. I have a little chart that looks like this right here.
Nice. Okay.
And we're going to start at 300 Scoville units, and we're going to work our way all the way up to the summit of the pyramid at 2.1 million Scoville units. So, are you ready to get started?
We're going a long ways. I love it.
We're going a long ways. Okay, here we go. Let's get started. Go ahead and grab that first hot sauce over there. This is the banana pepper hot sauce, and this is the lightest.
Sounds pretty mom. Bananas are pretty light.
Yeah. This is 300 Scoville units, and ketchup kind of clocks in at about 300 Scoville units.
Yeah.
So this is a really good mild hot sauce to. Don't. I wouldn't recommend drinking it. That might mess you up for tomorrow.
That's all right.
Yeah, you go ahead and pour some on there. That's great.
I appreciate you getting the keto-friendly chicken nuggets too. That was nice. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, this is Ronald's best. So go ahead and chow that one down. There we go. And my first question for you, Chris, in the hot seat. I'm super excited, man. I have so many good questions for you. Here we go.
Can't wait. Let's fire it up, babe. I'm ready.
Tell me about a time in your life that you felt the happiest. Maybe it was one of your greatest accomplishments. Maybe it was because you were able to help someone out. Just tell me what first comes to mind. Most happiest moment.
Great question. About 8 months ago, I had to take a test to become certified to be a substance abuse counselor. And I went in and I had prepared for this test for a long time. And I thought I was totally ready. I thought I could whip it out in like 30 minutes to be back in my day. And I got there and the test was like, it might have been like in Chinese. I didn't understand one question. and so I had 3 hours. At 2 hours and 40 minutes, I just gave up. I still had 80 questions to answer. I had no idea what they were.
Oh.
I said, God, you didn't bring me this far to only bring me this far. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to ask you for the answer. I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to put my hand on the mouse, and you're going to direct me what letter to pick. I said, is it A? C?
Nope.
Next question. Is it B? B. I did that for all 80 questions, right?
Oh, wow.
I get the test back, and I don't know if I passed. And I'm crying, literally crying, because I feel like I failed, right? And this is like people have scholarshiped me. You guys know it's like 2.5 years of schooling, and I thought, all this way for nothing. And then the guy tells me that I passed, and I lost my mind.
Yeah, I bet.
I was so happy, right? And the best part was, I get to the car, and I'm reading it, and it says, top score, 800. I thought, yeah, that's right.
You're nice.
I knew, right? And then it says, minimal passing score, 500. And then it says, your score, 502.
Whoa! Wow.
So I was that was stoked, and then I got to follow that up by going actually to winter camp. So I went right from like anxiety and fear and depression and tears to the happiness of Forest Home.
Absolutely.
That was a day.
Fantastic. Let's grab that next hot sauce here. This is the Hatch Valley Anaheim Pepper Hot Sauce, and this is 1,500 Scoville units. So we went from 300 to 1,500.
Hatch Valley. Any idea what it means?
No idea.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah, I don't know.
Find out.
I don't know much about these hot sauces, actually. I just know what they're called and how hot they are. So this is 1,500 Scoville units. And
because the Hatch is a pepper as well. So interesting. They got a pepper name for the farm, and then they also have the Anaheim pepper, which is, pretty mild pepper.
Yeah.
It's good if you roast it. A lot of people, they roast the Anaheim peppers. If you ever want to taste it like that, it kind of brings out a little bit more flavor.
Yeah.
Those I'm a hot sauce guy. I'm glad to be here. Did I already mention that?
Yeah.
Here we go. Let's fire it up, Ray.
While you chow that one down and your mouth starts to get a little more warm, I gotta say, you are one of the busiest people that I know. From mental health counseling to being on a podcast to volunteering at church here at One Youth and everything in between. My question for you is, how do you manage your time?
Oh, man. That's $1 million question. It'll be in my next book. But for now, I'll give you some insight. I run a day between 5:30 a.m. to 11 p.m. 7 days a week. Super busy. But what I've done is not necessarily about time management as much as that I filled my life with the gifts that God has given me. So I'm able to use like the gifts that God has given me to help serve other people. Mm-hmm. And so it's not like there's nothing in my day that I don't like to do. Mm-hmm. So it makes it so much easier to know that like I've already went to the gym this morning, and then I did an hour in prayer and meditation, and then I just put in 9.5 hours in mental health counseling, and then I drove straight here, and I'm doing a hot sauce challenge, and then we're gonna go do worship, and then I'm gonna go home and I have an hour of studying to do for the next course I take, and then it'll be 10:47, and I'll have 13 minutes to pray and brush my teeth, and boom, out like a light.
Like I said, you're the busiest person that I know. But that's very cool. You know, having a purpose for everything that you do is very cool. I can really respect that. It's super amazing.
Thanks, bro. I love it.
Let's grab that next. Excuse me. Let's grab that next hot sauce. And this next one here is the green serrano pepper hot sauce.
Ooh, now we're getting up there.
Yeah, we're starting to ramp things up a little bit. This hot sauce is 17,000 Scoville units. So 17,000. And we have Jack in the studio here with us today, passing the hot sauces around.
That's right, Jackers, what's going down?
And he actually sponsored today's episode. So thank you, Jack, for that. So
Jackers, thank you, brother.
Yeah.
Careful, this one's a little bit hot. You might want to put some gloves on, big dog.
Yeah, don't wipe your eyeballs after having this one.
You got that right. All right, here we go. Let's try this one out.
Yeah. And my question is, I know you've been a big music fan your entire life, from listening to music and being in bands. Chris, when you were in high school, what was 1 or 2 songs that you always had on repeat?
Now, I just want to preface this with the fact of that when I grew up, praise music wasn't what it is today. Today, you got all kinds of great Christian rock bands, and you got all kinds of great praise. When I was growing up, man, it was Amy Grant, right? So you weren't like rocking the praise music. That was like for Christmas with your mom and your grandma. You're like, okay, so my 2 songs on repeat were Motley Crue, Shout at the Devil, and Twisted Sister, We're Not Gonna Take It.
Nice.
I was metal all the way, man. That was it.
2 epic songs.
Yeah, right? They still hold up today. And then... you know, and just in honor of Eddie Van Halen, who died yesterday, I think there might have been a little Van Halen in there too. You know what I mean? So props to Eddie. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That was it, man. I loved rock and roll. I still do, but
yeah, great genre.
Yeah.
Our next hot sauce here is the Tabasco pepper hot sauce. You can go ahead and grab that one. We can start to spice this one up.
Just get it nice and shaken up, Jackers. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, and this hot sauce is 50,000 Scoville units. We are making our way.
Now we're getting up there.
We're marching our way up this pyramid. And my question for you, speaking of hot things.
And Tabasco.
And Hot Nugs. Not many people know that you used to be a firefighter. So please tell me a little bit about what it is like to be a firefighter, and tell me one crazy experience that comes to mind.
Oh, wow. Okay. First off, I love being a firefighter. I want to give a shout out to all my firefighter brothers and sisters that are out there fighting the wildland fires here in California, and all the people that put their lives daily on the line to help other people. And you know, I love being a firefighter. It was for those of you that don't know, when you become a firefighter, you automatically join the firefighter family. There's no other option. Right, you come into the family, and it's part of the whole process. And it's like everywhere you go. I traveled to New Orleans, I traveled to San Francisco, I traveled to New York, Boston, all these places. And I go to any firehouse, and I would always bring ice cream. A lot of people don't know this, but that's kind of like the unwritten law of traveling firefighters. When you go to a different city, you take some ice cream to the firehouse, and just who's ever there, and he's like, "Hey, guys, brought you guys some ice cream. I'm, Chris, whatever. I'm from this fire station 10." And it's just like welcome aboard, right? It's just like going to like your relative's house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I would say probably the craziest experience I ever had to deal with is that we got a call one day for a guy that got in a bike accident, right? And had gone down the hill. And we were like, oh, okay, no big deal. You're thinking, right? Like just some guy riding, probably fell over, rolled down the hill, which was fun. Well, we get there, and what happened is he was like a racing bike guy, right? So you know, the kind of like where you put those cleats or whatever into like the pedals.
Yep.
And he was like cruising along like down the highway and hit a rock and tumbled like head first.
Whoa.
And couldn't get his feet out of the pedals.
Oh.
And his femur had broke, which is like his major leg bone. This is gonna get hard gnarly, just so you know.
Yeah.
And the bone was like out of the skin.
Oh.
So like we showed up and I'm like, I mean, I'll be honest with you, firefighter or not, man, you see somebody's like bone poking out of his skin, you're like,
Yeah.
like, and what are you gonna say to him? Hey, you're gonna be okay, buddy. Don't worry. Like I'm like, oh my gosh, we gotta get this guy out of here. And the thing is he was still tangled up in the bike because we couldn't get his cleats off, so we had to get his cleats off, and he's just screaming in pain. You know what I mean? And yeah, we got him out of there. But that was a long day at the office. I'll tell you, man. Trying just because then you had to drag him back up the hill and. Ooh, mercy.
Yeah.
You never know what that job was going to hold. You know what I mean? Every time you went somewhere, you never knew. But I did get to rescue a lady out of a car, too. That was fun.
Yeah.
I was right at an accident, and a car came, like, ran a red light and clipped her and flipped her whole minivan over and landed on top, upside down. And, or sorry, on the side, but she was on the bottom. And so I ran over there, and I couldn't get the door, and I had to yank the door open and then jump down in the car, and, like, it was leaking gasoline. And you could smell the gasoline. And so she was like, was this car going to blow up? I'm like, no. But in my head, I'm like, we got to get out of here, man. This thing's going to go any minute. You know what I mean? And I never forget because her name was Lynn. And that's my mom's name. So I was like, oh, Lynn, great. This is easy for you. You know, I'm like, don't worry, Lynn, it's going to be okay. And she was probably like in her late 50s, early 60s. You know what I mean? So I had to like get down, like put her on my shoulder, and like lift her up to the top of the car, and like nobody else was there because I was off duty. Yeah, you know what I mean. So just me. So all these people are standing around, like, what's everybody standing around for? Like, help me out. You know what I mean? Like all these people are like taking pictures, like, oh, I'll get the firefighter. I'm like, no, help you. You know, we finally got her over, and it's cool. Like she, I get emotional with this one. This is a great story, but like 2 weeks later, her husband had gotten my number from the fire, and he called in tears, and he says, just thank you. He said, my wife was so freaked out, and he goes, and you like saved us from a bad situation and helped us out. And I was like, wow, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your service as a firefighter way back then. And again, shout out to all the firefighters fighting fires now.
Amen.
And how's your mouth doing? Talking about fire, we're halfway through the pyramid. How you feeling it a little?
Yeah. Oh, I'm definitely feeling it. It's feeling good. You know what I mean? I'm starting to warm up a little bit. That my head's getting a nice little tingle to it.
All right. Well,
I'm ready for the next one.
Yeah, let's crank it up a little bit more. This next hot sauce is the Jamaican yellow bonnet pepper hot sauce at 250,000 Scoville units. Don't forget to give it a little shake. You want to make sure.
I'm shaking them all up. You know what I mean?
Okay, good. Yeah, I don't recommend just dumping it straight into your mouth.
No, probably not the best idea. Let's see what this one does, Jackers. I want to make sure I get a nice glaze over the whole thing like a donut. You know what I mean? I'm not just going to put a little drop on here and try and fake it through the show. Like either we do this the right way or we don't do it at all.
That's right. I want to ask you a question about your faith. I know that you are a man of faith. You are always studying scripture and strengthening your relationship with Christ. Is there a time in your life where you had a crisis of faith? And if so, how did you overcome it?
Yeah, when I was 15, I had a conversation with my dad. And it went like, son, we've been very tolerant of your music and of your hair choices, but we're missionaries, and you got to cut off your mohawk and start acting more appropriate. And I had not done anything wrong. I mean, I had a mohawk, and I skateboarded, but like I wasn't drinking, I wasn't doing drugs, I wasn't getting into trouble. So I thought, well, that doesn't seem very fair, you know. But what I heard was that my dad didn't he cared more about the way that his Christ-centered friends thought about my appearance than he actually cared about me, right? And so I ended up leaving home and never went back. And for years, like many years, probably about 10, 15 years, I really suffered and questioned my faith because, I had one of those questions. I don't know if anybody's listening has ever had this question, but where you go, why would God let this happen to me? I didn't do anything, right? Or, I think I hear that a lot from people like, well, God doesn't care because he let this happen. And, it took me finally a way to realize is that, that had nothing to do with God or my faith. That had to do with me and my dad's ego clashing as teenagers and rebellion and a over controlling father that had his own issues and things like that. And that when I came back and, asked God, and said, hey, God, like I made a mistake. I took the wrong path for quite a few years here. And can I please come home, so to speak, right? Mm-hmm. And it was instantaneous. You hear people talk about when they cry out, like, oh, God, please help me, that prayer. And I just felt, say like a warm feeling like I'm getting from these hot sauces, but something more encompassing, like a warm blanket. It was like surrounding me, like, welcome home. Prodigal son type stuff, Yeah. And I've only built it back up since then, But it definitely was a test there for a while.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing and being honest about that. Really appreciate it. Our next hot sauce, we're moving right along. We're on question 6, hot sauce 6. This is the Bled Red Habanero Pepper hot sauce. Yeah, and you notice that the colors have gone from a nice yellow to a dark red.
A dark red. It's bad when you shake it up and you still can't see through the bottle. You know what I mean? Like it just coats it.
Yeah, exactly. And this one is 600,000 Scoville units.
600,000, huh?
600,000.
We're getting up there a little bit.
We are definitely getting up there. And my next question is kind of a loaded question, so I'm going to start asking you it right now. Everyone knows that you are a big baker. You used to own your own baking company. It's called Buns and Roses. And now, whenever you know it is someone's birthday, you take the time to bake them a special cake. Please walk me through your process from start to finish when it comes to baking a cake.
Man, I just want to say that COVID has really put a kink in my armor on this one, because I like making birthday cakes for people. And I say this all the time, it's like one of my favorite things to do. Mm-hmm. I love it. It gives me such joy to see people. And it's a great process, because what I do is I always ask the person to give me a couple of their favorite flavors, strawberry, lemon, chocolate, caramel, whatever it is. And then I ask them what their favorite candies are, or like anything, like they like Reese's peanut butter cups, they like M&Ms, they like, whatever like that is. And then I kind of think about my experience with them. And things that I've heard them say over, the time we've been together, if short or long, whatever. And then I go in and I think of like what they like. Do they like flowers? Do they like sports? Do they like whatever? And then I create the cake from that. Mm. So I go and I'll go to the store and start picking out flavors I think will be good. And I'll pick some candies out. And then I'll think of like what they would like aesthetically, like what it to look like. And then I go and, I spend about 3 or 4 hours on each cake, just getting it down perfectly. But it's interesting when I'm doing the cake, before I even get done, like right as I'm just about done, every time that I do a cake, I literally like get tears in my eyes just thinking about like how happy the person's going to be, like looking at me like this is a gift from the heart. You know what I mean? That's what I love about doing it. So can't wait for COVID to be over so I can start baking some cakes. I think I'm behind on about 20 cakes, so it's going to take me like a year to make up for it.
Yeah. Well, owning a baking company, you're probably no stranger to baking a lot.
Yeah, no, not at all. Not at all. I remember this one time real quick. I entered a competition for cinnamon rolls. It was for the San Diego Weekly, that newspaper. Mm-hmm. And I entered it, and they were like, yeah, no problem. And then they sent me the thing on what I had to do, and I had to bake 125 for the competition.
Wow.
Because there was 125 judges. They opened it up for all these people to come in, right? And it took me I got home from work at like 9 o'clock that night, and I finished at 7:30 in the morning.
Oh my gosh!
Straight through, and the competition started at 9. And I had to drive from from Vista all the way down to Point Loma.
Oh my gosh.
And I got there like at 8:47, right?
Yeah.
Started in like 10 minutes, just covered in flour. Like just, you know what I mean? Like had been up all night. I was like 4 rock stars in, you know what I mean? It's like,
that's
and
amazing.
I came in second place though, out of all San Diego.
Wow.
Right? Yeah.
Congratulations.
It was cool, man. I dug it.
So go ahead and grab that next hot sauce. We're going to tip into 7 digits here. This is the Scorpion Pepper hot sauce, and this clocks in at 1.4 million Scoville units.
I like it when we get into the millions.
Yeah.
That's how you know you're really getting the real deal. Jackers, don't be shy. Come on over. Are you scared? Don't be scared. Come on, don't be scared.
Grab the gloves, Now, Chris, I wouldn't be a good interviewer if I didn't ask you about your tattoos. What is your favorite tattoo and why?
My favorite tattoo is on my calves. I have 2 owls.
Oh.
And it's 2 owls, and then in the chest piece of the owl is like a sugar skull. Like a Mexican Day of the Dead kind of sugar skull. Mm-hmm. And then at the bottom of one owl is a heart shaped like padlock. And at the other owl is a key, like an old-fashioned like hotel key or like door key. And it stands for a second chance. So 2 owls to find through wise, the owl, and spiritual, the sugar skull, true love. And I got that about 10 years ago from a guy named Aaron Bell. He has a shop up in Seattle called Slave to the Needle. And he actually, his specialty is to go to Japan and Australia like 6-8 months of the year and do like those full like body samurai pieces.
Yeah.
And it took me 3 years to get an appointment with him.
Wow.
And the thing is, we can only do it for one day was all that he could give me because he's from Seattle. So like I met him in Long Beach and I laid on like a massage table and he did it in one day, 15 hours straight.
Wow. That sounds intense.
It was the worst day of my life. I gave you the best day. This was the worst day. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like about 8 hours into it, it literally just felt like Freddy Krueger was like just like scraping like knives down my back. Like, for hours. I was like,
oh my
and the
gosh.
thing is, it was at a big competition, like a tattoo convention. So like everybody was walking by the whole time. So like you couldn't even cry or nothing. You had to like sit there and people come by, they start talking to you, hey buddy, how's it going? I'm like, how do you think it's going, man? I've been here for like 10 hours. You know? Move on, all right? Nothing to see here.
Yeah. Well, Chris, we come down to the last question, the last hot sauce. I'm going to have you on the show again because I still have so many questions to ask you. But we got to hit
I'd love to come back.
We got to hit the summit of this pyramid right now. This is the Carolina Reaper hot sauce. This comes in at 2.1 million. How's your mouth doing right now before we get into this?
I'll be honest with you. It's on fire right now.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, I've eaten a lot of hot sauces in my day. And, I'm the guy that goes into a restaurant. And if you can get your picture up on the wall for eating some kind of ridiculous thing, I will do it.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm good with this so far. It's hot, but I'm not dying yet.
Yeah, so the Carolina Reaper hot sauce, 2.1
I've always wanted
million.
to try this one, though. I haven't really tried this one before, so...
This one is
swirl
super
it over
great.
the nuggets here to make sure I get a nice, even glaze.
Yeah, get the glaze, and I'll eat it with you. Here we go.
Cheers, buddy. Woo! Oh, that's got a kick to it.
Absolutely.
A little sweet.
Now, God is always at work in everyone's lives, and I've gotten to see how God has been at work in your life over the past few years. My final question for you, Chris, what is God doing in your life right now, today, or this week that you want everyone watching at home to know?
Wow, that's a great question. What God is doing in my life is, my favorite verse, Matthew 19:26, with God, all things are possible. And when I look at what my life was like, I'm a huge football fan, New Orleans Saints fan, and I don't even know how these things happen, but I get to actually go to New Orleans for the Christmas Day game dressed as Santa Claus this year, right? And it's like, I love Christmas because it's Jesus' birth, but I also love the miracle of Santa and like just how much fun that is, right? And so how did that even happen? I don't even know, right? That's like a lifetime dream.
Yeah.
But more importantly, he's allowed me to actually work with kids in schools, right? So I talked about in the beginning how when I was 15, I left home, and then there was a lot of stuff that happened after that. There wasn't really good stuff, right? Gangs and substance abuse and alcoholism and things like that over the years. And now God has totally turned that entire thing around. I always say, making my scars into stars or something.
Yeah.
And now I spend my entire life dedicated to ministry. A lot of people say, I have to go to work, or I have to go to the gym, or I have to do this. This is how I thank God for my day. I said, God, thank you that I get to go to my gym ministry.
Yeah.
Thank you that I get to go to my substance abuse ministry. Thank you that I get to go to One Youth ministry.
Yeah.
Thank you that I get to go to prayer ministry. Like everything I do is a ministry, regardless. 24 hours a day. Doesn't matter where I'm going or what I'm doing. Thank you that I get to do a family ministry. Thank you that I get to do these things. And it's like, what a gift that is.
Yeah.
To know that every waking minute of your life is filled with God's love to serve other people. I mean, it's so humbling.
Yeah.
But it's just, when I think back to just to give you an idea, I lived in the bushes for almost a year of my life, in bushes off Hollywood Boulevard, right? Dealing with I was the guy pushing the shopping cart, you know what I mean? You wouldn't recognize me, trench coat, beard, whatever that looks like. And to be traveling the country, helping people out, right? Just seeing God's love at work is, it's I want to say redemption, but I feel like that word is so small to encapsulate actually how big of a gift it's been. to do this work with God and to work with you and to do this ministry with you and over the last couple of years and all the things we've gotten to do and all the kids we get to work with and continue to work with. So I don't know. It's an amazing life. It really is. And I love it. And
Yeah. Well, Chris, that was our last question. You are an inspiration to me and to so many students. And your student-led podcast called The One Amazing Life, a podcast by students for students, is going to start coming back out sometime this winter. Super excited about that.
Me too.
Mr.
Can't
Chris,
wait.
the number one hope dealer, thank you for joining me on today's show. And everyone watching at home, thank you for tuning in. And we'll see you again. Wow, that's spicy. We'll see you again next week on Hot Nugs. I almost finished it off in a good way.
You got so close,
but there
man.
we go.
I
Thanks
know.
for tuning in and have a great rest of your week.
Hey everyone, it's Jamie and Pat. We're doing another Devo today. And Pat, where are we at?
We are in Deuteronomy chapter 34. Whenever I look this up online, I don't know how to spell Deuteronomy. It's all N's and M's and O's, and I just write Doot. And
That
Google
works.
knows. Everyone must do it because Google knows.
Google knows way too much. It's starting to creep me out. I should have been creeped out like 10 years ago, but it's just now hitting me.
Someone is sitting in a cubicle right now in Northern California analyzing what you just said because your phone heard you say it.
Probably.
They're like, how can we be less creepy to this guy?
That's
You're gonna get like a card from Google. Anyway, let's move on. Deuteronomy 34. We're gonna read the whole thing, the whole chapter. This is one of those divas where at the end you get to say, "Hey, I read a chapter of a book today."
Hooray.
I'll read it. Starts off like this.
Oh, don't I get to read it? You get to read it?
Duh, go ahead. You get to read it.
I know. You've been doing too much reading, Pat. Let me do this.
Yeah,
I got this one.
Yeah, there are so many like crazy names in this one. So yeah, go ahead.
Well, okay. I'll do my best.
Nice.
Then Moses climbed Mount Nebo from the plains of Moab to the top of Pisgah, across from Jericho. There the Lord showed him the whole land from Gilead to Dan, all of Naphtali, the territory of Ephraim and Manasseh, all the land of Judah as far as the Mediterranean Sea, the Negev, and the whole region from the valley of Jericho, the city of palms, as far as Zoar. Then the Lord said to him, "This is the land I promised on oath to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, when I said I will give it to your descendants. I have let you see it with your eyes, but you will not cross over into it." And Moses, the servant of the Lord, died there in Moab, as the Lord had said. He buried him in Moab, in the valley opposite Beth Peor. But to this day, no one knows where his grave is. Moses was 120 years old when he died, yet his eyes were not weak, nor his strength gone. The Israelites grieved for Moses in the plains of Moab 30 days, until the time of weeping and mourning was over. Now Joshua, son of Nun, was filled with the spirit of wisdom, because Moses had laid his hands on him. So the Israelites listened to him and did what the Lord had commanded Moses. Since then, no prophet has risen in Israel like Moses, whom the Lord knew face to face, who did all those signs and wonders the Lord sent him to do in Egypt, to Pharaoh and to all his officials, and to his whole land. For no one has ever shown the mighty power or performed the awesome deeds that Moses did in the sight of all Israel. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God. What a somber moment.
Very somber moment,
Yeah.
right? I mean, this is like a really somber moment for the people of Israel. A somber moment, I guess, for Moses. Maybe it was a somber moment for God, who's dealing with Moses in this time. Now, here's what's crazy. Just a little context here. You have God and God calling Abraham years and years before. God calls Abraham out of Ur, which is like Babylon. Think of being more in the east from where they are now. And Abraham kind of wanders around a bit and ends up being in this land, but has descendants. Ends up, however, a lot of wandering, not any permanent kind of home situation. and then they end up having to sell themselves into slavery. Now we have Abraham, then there's Isaac, then there's Jacob. Jacob is named Israel, and he has these sons, and the sons are the ones who end up selling the youngest. Remember Joseph in the fancy coat, right?
Yeah.
Joseph gets sold into slavery. He ends up becoming the Prince of Egypt, as the Disney movie has taught us. And we find out later on that they thought he was dead, but he's alive, and a giant famine comes over the land. And basically everyone who is from God's chosen people, they're now slaves in Egypt. They've sold themselves into slavery, which ended up being the reason they survived. Moses comes on the scene. And remember, Moses started out as a king or a prince of Egypt, which is a pretty fantastic thing for him. He starts out as a prince of Egypt, but later realizes that he's really from God's chosen people. And when he finds out he's from God's chosen people, things get a little crazy. He ends up in the desert, and then he comes back because he sees a burning bush, right? So there's a lot going on here when we think about who Moses was and what he did. But he gets the people to go out of the promised land or out of the slavery in Egypt to the promised land. However, they wander in the desert for 40 years. And now, finally, after 120 years of Moses being alive, he gets, and for this time, he knows that God has a big plan for him. And for the last 40 of those years, he's been wandering in the desert, leading these people who the Bible describes as a stiff-necked people, meaning they're stubborn. And so he takes those stiff-necked people, he leads them through the desert, he finally gets to the edge of it, and God's like, oh yeah, here's all this land. Here's all this land. It's beautiful. It's, they describe it as a land flowing with milk and honey.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, you can't go.
Right.
What?
Bummer. I mean,
right.
Yeah, after walking around in the desert for years, that's a bummer. That sounds brutal.
This is a pretty long journey. God's chosen people have been waiting for hundreds of years for this chosen land to be a part of it. And now it's kind of like Moses has been this immense prophet for them. The one who brings the 10 Commandments down, the one who begins the Passover. There are a lot of feasts in the faith, the Jewish faith today, that are still practiced.
Yeah.
And those are all have their beginnings, or at least when they're first kind of written down here. It's these first 5 books of the Bible, which are traditionally ascribed or attributed to Moses, right? So Moses is this giant of faith. Yeah. And he is at the point now where his life is almost over. And, well, his life is over at the end of this book, right?
Yeah.
And he doesn't get to go into the promised land.
He gets to see it with his own eyes.
He gets to see it with his own eyes. That's the gift that he gets.
Thank you for watching this episode of One Youth. Hope to see you again next week.